Okay. So, welcome everybody to the Resilience Workshop, Strategies for Strength. And there is nothing like a little technical issue here and there to challenge resilience and create a level of resourcefulness that who even knew one had it. Anyway, so I would like to welcome all of you to the workshop. I know we all lead busy lives, and I'm just delighted that you're able to join us this evening. This is a Living with Inner Elegance workshop, and it is hosted by the Wisdom House Retreat and Conference Center in Litchfield, Connecticut. And I'm absolutely thrilled this evening to have as my special guest and dear friend, Divine G. Whitfield, who is the Oscar-nominated screenwriter and inspiration behind the wonderful film Sing Sing. So I would just like to introduce everybody to Divine before we get into some housekeeping. Hi, Divine.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Well, it is so great to have you here, sir. I'm absolutely delighted. You to me are Mr. Resilience incarnate. So I'm just delighted to have you. And we're going to be checking back in with you in a little bit and going over some of the pillars of resilience that you have taught me in my relationship with you. So absolutely. We'll circle back around to that. So in the meantime, everybody, there is a little bit of Zoom housekeeping to check over. If you would like to be contributing on the screen with a question or a comment or whatever, you can go down to the bottom of your screen to react and click on there, and there is an emoji with a hand so that you can raise your hand and we will know to bring you into the spotlight and have you on camera. Now, if you prefer to not be on camera and you would like to be able to contribute, you can go to the chat at the bottom and put in whatever you would like there, whether you want to ask questions or make comments or answer some of the work that we're going to be doing with the workbook. So to check if all of that is working, in the chat down below, could you let me know where you are zooming in from? So I've got from Brooklyn, New York. That would be you, I think, Divine. That's fantastic.
It's me.
Okay, so it looks as if our map is behaving a little oddly, but in any event, wherever it is that you're zooming in from, welcome. And before we begin, I would just like for us to take a second out of our busy lives and get out of our rushing around mode and just take a moment to be grounded and full of gratitude for having this time and space to come together to commune in a safe space where we can share ideas and inspiration. So let's just take a moment to take a gentle breath and get a little grounded and feel our feet on the ground and the air around us, and express gratitude for one another and for ourselves on this journey. We live in busy and at times turbulent times, and we are the light keepers. We are healers. We are helpers. We are artists. We are entertainers. We are people who connect and communicate and are looking to have our world be lighter and brighter and more connected. So in the spirit of incredible collaboration, fun, and inspiration, let's just take one more gentle breath in and out. And thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm the founder of Living with Inner Elegance, Caroline Phipps. And for those of you who aren't very familiar with my backstory, the reason that I am doing this work and the Inner Elegance work is it stems way, way back to growing up on a dairy farm in England, way back, more years than I care to imagine. And I came into this world knowing three things. And it's three things that I can't take any credit for whatsoever. I just arrived on the planet with these three things. And the first one was the sense of the interconnectedness of all creatures. When you live with 70 opinionated dairy cows who are named after the ladies of the village, and your well-being depends on them and they depend on you. And then it all depends on how well the land is cared for. You grow up understanding the interconnectedness of us with each other, with the animals and the birds and the world and the universe. So I grew up with this very strong sense of the connected nature of things. I also had a very strong sense that there was more to life than appeared to be. And I was always in a mode of exploration. So I would dive into mythology and philosophy and spiritual traditions and all sorts of things just to try to work out the mysteries of life. And I was just fascinated by all of it. And the third thing that I was born knowing was that life as we know it was going to transition dramatically in my lifetime. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. But over the years that followed, I was always amazed that things seemed to carry on sort of as normal. And then, of course, now we are in a period of spiritual turbulence, I would describe it, and a certain amount of chaos. So I feel that that's kind of what's happening now. And I founded the Inner Elegance Initiative about 11 years ago now to create a safe space in preparation for these times. And so this is kind of what has brought me here talking about resilience tonight. So this is a continuing conversation in the resilience dialogue. And for those of you who weren't on the call 2 weeks ago, I'm just going to make a quick recap for you. So resilience is the ability to accept our circumstances, adapt to our circumstances, whether they be a catastrophe or a challenge or something that has really knocked us off our game. And we are able to bounce back and come back, maybe even stronger and better than we were before, and learn from what has happened. So in today's world, resilience is going to be crucial because we are living in chaotic times. And we are going to need fortitude and steadiness and to be very aware of who we are and what we stand for and what's okay with us so that we keep strong, because with every choice that we make, every thought that we have, every action that we take, we co-create the kind of world that we would like to see. And if we're not resilient, we are not going to be able to do that. And I think we can all agree that to bring more kindness and empathy and connection to the world will be a good thing. And that is a mission that we have. It's also important to understand our strengths and our resources so that we know what we have at our disposal. And when it comes to strengths, for example, it's important to know what yours are and also maybe what you're not quite so good at, so that you can team up with people who are good at the sides of life that you're not so good at. Because when we come together, as John Steinbeck said and wrote in The Grapes of Wrath, when the I becomes we, the seeds of change are planted. And this is where we are, I think, at this moment in history, is this coming together of people. And the more resilient we are individually, the more resilient as a community and a body we are going to be moving forward and to create this world that we are looking for. So that's what we went over last time. And in this workshop, we are going to talk about, we're going to take a deeper dive actually into strategies for strength. And it is in the inspiration that I've used for this is my knowing and having the good fortune to meet Divine G, who is one of the most resilient people I've ever met. And he taught me 4 things about resilience. And we are going to take a deep dive into all of them as we go along. And for those of you who have downloaded the workbook or you have it on your electronic device or whatever, you'll be able to see how we're going to go through the steps of resilience over here. So the first thing I would like to do is to have you all share a word or a phrase that sums up and describes how you're feeling right now. And while you are doing that to share with us, I am going to share with you what mine is. And I think for me this evening, I have a very strong feeling of connectedness. So we have tranquil. I love that. I wish tech problems would make me feel more tranquil. Actually, I'm going to go for that one. I love that. Tranquil. Yes. Powerful. Wow, this is fantastic. I love it. Hopeful. Wonderful. Wonderful. That is so great. These are very strong and powerful words. Really wonderful. Marvelous. Open-minded. I love that too. Open-minded, open, hopeful, tranquil, powerful. Woof, this is just thrilling. I'm loving it. That is so great. I'm amazed that we haven't all created the perfect world already. I feel like we're well on the way. So thank you for sharing those. They're all amazingly inspiring. I just love it. So now we're going to take a look at how our resilience levels are. And I have a feeling they might be off the charts tonight. But on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, I don't feel resilient at all, and 10 being, I have resilient superpowers over here. Give me a number in the chat, 1 to 10. And I would say I probably was feeling like an 8, but I think with all this inspiration on the Zoom call, I'm now a 9 at least. Yeah, so that's wonderful. So People are feeling pretty good, I think. So this is going to be a great group for exploring resilience in this way. So I'm going to explain to you now how Divine G. Whitfield became the inspiration behind this workshop. But just before I do, Deborah Kelly, the Executive Director of the Wisdom House Retreat and Conference Center in Litchfield, Connecticut, has joined us. Welcome, Deborah.
Tap to unmute. Sorry, having a little bit of trouble. I'll be on in a second trying to figure this out.
That's okay, Deborah. I can hear you. I wonder if everybody else can.
I can hear you.
Is
Thank
everybody
you, Caroline.
hearing Deborah?
We're so happy to have you. So happy for this collaboration that we have with you, and we're excited about tonight's program.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you could join us. You are one of the most resilient and resourceful ladies I think I've ever met. And we're just delighted that Wisdom House is hosting us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, so getting back to Divine G. Whitfield, I first met Divine in February of 2011 when I was producing a play with Rehabilitation Through the Arts, a wonderful arts program in prison. And I was producing Dennis Watlington's play Bullpen in the Woodbourne prison up in the Catskills here in New York. And I had been given all sorts of guidelines and information about what happens when you go into a maximum security prison situation and how you should behave and the protocol and so on. And I entered the schoolroom where our group of actors and crew, we were going to meet them. And the very first person who came to speak to me was Divine. And I found myself completely forgetting where I was. And Divine and I ended up diving straight into this incredibly inspiring conversation about how tricky it is to stage William Shakespeare's Macbeth. So we were talking about symbolism and characters and casting and all of this kind of stuff. And I really felt like I was sort of back at university talking about William Shakespeare and plays and goodness knows what else. So anyway, and also I met the other guys too, and everybody was really fabulous. And I came out and I wondered, who is this man, Divine G, who is so confident, so smart, so in his skin, so communicative, so eloquent. And I discovered then that Divine had been wrongfully incarcerated on a 25-year to life sentence for a crime that he hadn't committed. And he was getting towards the end of his sentence, and it was just astonishing to me, his level of ability to really prevail above the odds. He'd written screenplays, got books on Amazon, and so on. So, Divine, tell us a little bit about how it was when we met.
Well, when I met you, it was a spectacular moment. There's no question about that. I mean, I was very intrigued by your whole British accent. That was really that was very stimulating, you know. I mean, the conversations that we had about Shakespeare and all of the various complexities of Shakespeare. Anyone who knows Shakespeare is so world renowned as a writer. And I mean, right now to this day, the context of the information that he writes still resonates almost as if it was written just yesterday. So he's a phenomenal writer, and just us discussing that, it was an amazing dialogue. As you said, I mean, I was 100% grateful by the fact that you even came into a prison setting, because civilians that come into a prison setting, I mean, you know, we understand how prisons have a, you know, very negative, you know, stigma type situation. So getting someone to come in there, I'm very, very appreciative of that. And be advised, I'm a founding member of Rehabilitation Through the Arts. I'm one of the architectures of this program. So when we created this program, it was really geared toward making sure that we were finding ways to get individuals to come in, because the reality about a prison setting, you need an outside source in some way to do some of them really, really knee-deep, nitty-gritty, you know, life building and getting guys ready so that when they walk out of this prison setting, they're actually going to be an asset. So, that support was crucial. And I want to thank you once again for everything that you provided when you did come in.
Well, it was one of the more profound experiences of my life, and I've made so many great friends from that. It was just a really blessed experience. So one of the pillars that I got from you, Divine, was, and really it's the first one I want to consider tonight, is self-esteem. I don't think we can do very well with resilience if we don't have any self-esteem, or our self-esteem is a little shaky. What would you say about that?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Self-esteem is, you're 100% right about that. I think that is a foundational component that anyone who, want to develop the ability to have resilience, the ability to bounce back, the ability to be flexible. It's nearly impossible to be flexible if you don't have a certain level of confidence within yourself. You have to have that intense self-worth to actually get past any obstacle, because you have to remember the most greatest danger to most of us is our negative thoughts, our doubtful thoughts, our convincing ourselves that we can't do something. I think that to me is the greatest threat to, bouncing back, having resilience, and learning how to cope and take a bad situation and turn it into something that's positive. So your self-worth is indispensable to developing ways to become resilient in life.
And how did you, in a maximum security setting for all those years, which I feel like undermines people's self-worth much of the time, how did you manage to keep hold of that? And was there ever a moment when it slipped from you and you felt your self-esteem slipping?
Well, one thing about self-esteem, it's something that is built. I mean, it's something that, you have to nurture it. You have to cultivate it. And for me, I guess my self-esteem was contributed to when I was growing up. I had a very productive, family. My mother was very, very inspiring. She always gave me positive, reaffirmation and just constantly reaffirmed that, you're somebody, you're important. So that plays a very intricate role in how you view yourself growing up. And also, I mean, when I was also growing up, I was just one of them very proactive kids. I also was one who was really deeply involved with trying to help others. That was something I always kind of just navigated toward, trying to help others. And the craziest thing about that is that now I realize as an adult that the more positiveness you throw out, it seems like it comes back, and it comes back tenfold. At least I'm, recognizing that as an adult. But I always called myself a natural born helper. But yes, there were many a times when, I doubted myself. I mean, there was many a times where I ran into certain situations where, my self-esteem was truly challenged. One in particular, I went to prison for a crime I didn't commit. And while incarcerated, I found overwhelming evidence of my innocence and couldn't get out. And the craziest thing about my life is when I was young, I was always this entertainer. I was a DJ. I danced with a dance group, danced on television with Stephanie Mills and a few popular individuals. I mean, I did a lot of productive things is dancing, and the dancing was really productive because it was like a activity that allowed me to open up and connect with myself and connect with others. But I think the most greatest moment when I lost my self-esteem is when I found overwhelming of my evidence of my innocence and couldn't get out. I mean, I was convinced that I found these audio tapes, I found witnesses, I found proof that the individual lied. I mean, it was just overwhelming. And when the courts rubber stamped it, I mean, it really shook me up pretty bad. And it took me, quite a while to bounce back. But then, I mean, because of my upbringing, because of my mother, my father, and their constant encouragement, I was able to bounce back.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Divine. You have had experiences that the rest of us, I'm sure, can't even imagine. Before we go any further, I would just like to say that we have Dennis Watlington's brother on the call, Calvin, who is calling from Brazil. Can you believe it? Hi, Calvin.
Yeah.
I am so happy that you're here. That is just great.
It's a pleasure to meet you, man. I love your brother, man. I love Dennis, man.
I tell you what, man, vicariously going through that experience that you went through with him when you did the play, I feel connected to you guys, all of you. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful.
That's wonderful. So let's check in with everybody. And we're going to have a question in our workbook about self-esteem. So share with me 3 things that make you feel good about yourself. And while you're considering these things, that's right. Self-esteem. Identify 3 things that make you feel good about yourself. And while you're all thinking about that and having a bit of an introspective dive into your own situation, I'm going to share what mine are. So mine are, I feel good when I'm of service to other people. I feel good when I feel a genuine sense of connection with people. And I always feel good when I'm giving something. So those are 3 very important things for my self-esteem. And I think it's important for us to reflect a little bit individually on where it is that we get our self-esteem from, because we live in a world where we are encouraged to get our self-esteem from our possessions, from our material wealth. And I think that so many of the things that really make us feel good actually aren't material at all. So we've got some lovely things here in the chat. Helping others. Empathy is a lovely one. Problem solving and doing something for somebody else. And humor. Wow. Yeah, that is spectacular. I think having a sense of humor in this world is absolutely crucial. And bringing joy through my talents. I love that. That is spectacular. Giving myself the gift of love from myself to myself. That is wonderful too, because the better we feel about ourselves, the more able we are to put ourselves out there for other people. That's lovely. Humanity, being in nature and beauty and humor. Nancy's sisters. I love it. Thank you. That is fantastic. I have to say that being growing up on a farm, and I am a nature girl. It always makes me feel good to be out in nature, connecting with people. I totally get that too. And risk taking for improvement. Well, that is so good. Empowering others and inspiring others by showing and proving. That is just great. Having a higher power. That's beautiful too. I always feel that having a belief in a higher power for me is extremely important, because when various things are challenging my resilience all over the place, if I know I have that to tap into, and I can ask for some strength and some grace, it always makes me feel better, and I feel better about myself. So thank you for sharing all those super, super inspiring things. So now we're going to move on to the next pillar of resilience that I learned from Divine. And it is the concept of actions having consequences. So in karma, it would be the law of cause and effect. In Christianity, it's often described as what we sow, we reap. And it also ties into the law of physics, the law of motion, that something triggers something else. And there you do something, and there is always a ripple effect. And one of the things that I learned from Divine was to be super duper resilient. Understanding that actions have consequences is a very powerful part of that trip. And Divine has a really great story about what happened to him when he left the Woodbourne prison in, I believe it was 2012, as a result of actions having consequences. Divine, tell us a little bit about how you ended up on tour with Lil Wayne when you came out of prison.
Well, it's a direct element of what I call is what you throw out into the universe is what you get back. So if you throw out love and you throw out helping and you throw out compassion, in many respects, that's exactly what comes back, but it comes back tenfold. What happened is this: when I was a famous DJ, a very popular DJ, growing up in Brooklyn near the Brownsville section, East New York section of Brooklyn, I was very popular, very famous DJ. So it was this little young kid and his little sister. They were little kids. They was fascinated with me being a DJ. So he used to, want to help me. He used to want to get involved. So I used to let him come back behind the rope, because in those days we had it sectioned off as in a rope section. And I used to just let him, give me my records. I'll tell him, get this record. And he was having such a good time, and I was just doing what I do. And every time I had my parties, he would show up, and this little kid and his sister, I was just let him come back in and, help me out, And for years, he would see me. I would always just always been kind to him, always helping him, always encouraging him. And I eventually went to prison for a crime I didn't commit. And the people in the neighborhood, they heard about it. And he used to kind of reach out to my mother, say hello, how's Divine doing, and so forth. And when I finally got out, he actually came and picked me up in a Rolls Royce. But at that time, he eventually became Lil Wayne's road manager. While I was in prison, I heard about his success. I was like, wow, I'm really impressed. He really did something really spectacular. And when I got out, he picked me up in a Rolls Royce, gave me money, and then offered me a job with to work as a supervisor on Lil Wayne's tour. And when I had a conversation with him, I was totally blown away that I had this huge impact on this kid. And all I was doing is just doing what I always did. I didn't do anything astronomically special with him. I just was doing what I always do. I see the little kids and I always try to inspire them, keep them out of trouble, because it's very easy to get in trouble in Brooklyn in them days. And I was always being positive with him. And for some reason, he took it more to heart than all of the other ones. He was more appreciative And it was amazing. I got out and he gave me that job. And the craziest thing is that my parole officer looked at me like I was out of my mind. He said, you just got out of prison, serving 25 years on a homicide. He told me you ain't going on no tour with no famous rapper. And thank goodness that while I was incarcerated, I had developed all these legal skills. I was a master at the legal skills because I lived in the law library for 25 years trying to give back all this time that, I was wrongfully convicted of. I went to court, did a temporary restraining order, an injunction, and I got in front of that judge and they let me go. But what I did is I contacted various media people. Of course, I had to strategize. I contacted media people. I had like 4 or 5 media reporters in the courtroom. They were going to do a big spread on it if they didn't let me go. The Attorney General knew what I was getting ready to do. And when they saw all those reporters there with the Little Wayne and all that, they let me go. So I'm probably the first person in New York State to ever get out of prison and go on a tour, a worldwide tour. I didn't just go to the US. I went with the 51 states in New York, in the United States, and I went to 8 different countries overseas.
Wow.
I made history.
It's just an extraordinary story, and every time I question the idea about whether actions really do have consequences, I always remember knowing that Divine had gotten out of prison, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing photographs of him from around the world in exotic locations. And I'm thinking, how is this even possible? And to know that it came about because back in the day, you helped a young kid who was in need, right? And who knows what would have happened to that young boy if he hadn't had some mentorship from you,
Yep.
These things come back around. So going back to the group now, I would love to hear from everybody about some experiences that you have had where you've done something and there's been a direct consequence of your action, or maybe it was down the line. And whether it be a positive thing or a negative thing, but where you are able to join the dots between an action that you took and some consequences further down the line. So identify 3 times in your life that your action had a consequence, either positive or negative. And while I'm now torturing you all with coming up with some goodies for me, I've got some of mine to share with you. One is that during COVID, I'm Dennis Watlington's principal caregiver, and he ended up getting COVID and he ended up in the Vassar Hospital. And it was a situation where at that time there were all these crazy restrictions, and it wasn't going to be until he tested negative that he was going to be allowed to go back to his nursing care situation where they looked after him so well. And I was dreading the day when he was recovering from COVID and he was going to test negative. Because at that time, regulations had come in and they were going to ship him to New Jersey. And what happened was he did test negative. And I spoke with the social worker. And in the middle of my conversation with her, when she was talking to me about Dennis is going to have to be transferred to New Jersey, which sounded completely crazy to me, she suddenly said in the middle of the conversation, "Oh, I remember you from last summer when I was an intern in Dennis's nursing home, and I'm the social worker, and you guys were so kind to me, and Dennis was fabulous. You were wonderful. You were some of the kindest people I've ever met." She said, "I am going to make sure that he is safe." And I realized then that when we are kind and thoughtful and caring and inclusive and think about other people, it has a ripple effect, and they remember you. And it just, it was a big moment for me, because it was also a very significant moment in a very perilous time. So I wonder if anybody would like to share a story of where their action has had a consequence that they're aware of. And you can also put up your hands and contribute on screen too. So feel free to do that. So we have here, oh, my Buddhist practice. Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Mary. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Of course, that practice is all about karma, right? So it's a very, very, very powerful part of that tradition. What we do has a consequence. I gather that we aren't able to get you on the screen right at this moment, so please write more and we'll end up with some more bubbles. If you can write in the chat, that would be great. I'm sorry you can't share your stories right this moment. So I think one of the things that tends to happen with actions having consequences is that it also helps us to, once we've worked this out, that this indeed is the case, it helps us down the line to behave well at the moment and be the best that we can be, knowing that whatever it is that we are doing at the moment could easily come back around and become a problem later on. So it is a very good way of helping us to keep on track, I think, this idea. And the idea that these things ripple out, into the universe. So here we have directing the, I'm sorry, I can't read this word, directing.
The Laramie Project.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes. For those who don't know it, it was the Tectonic Theater Company's play that told the story of Matthew, Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we have you on.
Shepherd.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, look at that. What happened? Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And so there was a community that a lot of people questioned why I would do this play. And, but the students really wanted to. And it was very interesting that some of the people who thought it was a bad idea and was really complaining about it, they were encouraged by other parents to go see it before they judged.
Oh,
and
okay.
The end of that play is extremely powerful, because you start to realize it's not about his gayness. The story is about hate. And when you hear a father express the pain of losing a son, everyone can relate to that. And I was the first, this is crazy to me, but I was the first out teacher in 2016 at that Texas school. So students felt like they had an ally.
Wow, that's wonderful, Mary. Thank you for sharing that. It's a really inspiring story. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a comment here, or a put up your hand in the react line down below, because we can have you on the screen now. Anybody else have a actions have consequences story that they would like to share?
Look, there she is.
Hey, Laura.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So I have a healing arts business. It's called Laura Lynn Healing Arts. And just in the last year, I've been going deeper into my own healing process. And that involved being more spontaneous than I usually would, just hearing the call, just moving towards things that felt like a yes to me. So I started doing a journey dance training, which is using dance as a healing tool, and studying something called somatic breath work. And both of those practices have been very powerful for me to expand my container to feel more myself, feel more feelings, just have be able to feel that range of feelings. And the consequences have been, my work with my clients has been evolving very quickly, where at one point I was offering like many different massage services, and I narrowed everything down to about 3 services now. And in this last year, I've doubled my income, and I'm just working with people on a deeper healing level. So it's been very rewarding to see them go from just coming for a massage to coming to do some breath work with me, to explore some emotions, and we may integrate it with some body work, but just seeing them really light up and see some major changes in their lives as well. So.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, I can't wait for my session with you.
Yes, me too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah.
I think that we have Adam on, who has written something wonderful and profound in a bubble. And I wonder, Adam, if you would like to come on the screen.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello.
I
Hello.
was recovering from a little accident, so I had to go from my office into a place where I could put a heating pad on my back.
Oh, bless your heart, sir. Well, that's so great that you're here. Wonderful, wonderful. Do you have a good story for us?
Well, back in the early part of the teens, I was living in Park Slope, and which is, I think, the law for everybody at some point or other. I was living in Brooklyn, and I started a film series, a very community-oriented small film series in the back of a bar, and I invited filmmakers that I knew to show their films, and it's quickly just sort of became a way of championing lower budget independent films, and there was a crop of films coming out at that time, documentaries about neighborhoods being changed, through not just to the kind of more natural gentrification that happens to so many cities and spots. I mean, it's happening in various places in the Hudson Valley, but where, huge amounts of cash are coming into a city, developers and politicians are, getting together and, with intention, changing neighborhoods, demolishing neighborhoods, and putting up, skyscrapers, wealthy buildings for the wealthy. And people were freaking out. And I pivoted the film series into sort of temporarily into this particular series. They called it Brooklyn Reconstructed, where there were like 6, 7, 8, 9 different films about how the city was changing. And we ended up doing the series, moving it to the right onto Prospect Park, into the Ethical Culture Building. They gave me this building every first Tuesday of the month or something like that. And I would show a screening. We'd invite everybody. And all of a sudden, all of these local community organizers and religious leaders, local leaders, politicians, local politicians, Tish James came, few times to my screenings, and just tons of people sharing. We'd show the film, but it was a catalyst for the the sharing the conversation, sharing the anxiety, sharing the anger about what was happening to our neighborhoods, and it was just this incredibly powerful thing. And I tried to get out of the way most of the time, because I realized this thing was bigger than me, and I was woefully prepared, uneducated, undeveloped as a human being. But by the end of this period, I'd grown so much, and I had made deep friendships, and that was the best thing I think I could ever do. And I picked it up sort of that idea up here when I moved up here a bunch of years ago, and I have that sense about it where I work now, and how community building can be an extremely powerful thing, and it can bring you relationships like Caroline Phipps, and other people. I met incredible people, and it's just like I feel very humble.
Well, thank you, Adam. That's a great story, and I think that when it comes to resilience, humility is a big part of it. We always know that the most resilient people are often the most humble. So thank you for that. That's great. Calvin, I think that you may have something to contribute. Hi, Calvin.
Hi. Do I have to unmute?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. The experience that I shared actually was one when I was very young. And I'm sure Divine can agree with me that going to public school in New York City can be quite a challenge in terms of acceptance and just so many things going on around you. And there was this young girl that at the time wasn't very attractive, at least in those days, what an attractive person was thought of. But she was very brutally bullied and harassed. And I was the only one in the class that would ever stand up for her, right? And it helped that at that time I was the biggest in the class, so nobody would mess with me. So,
that was good.
So later on in life, about 12 or 13 years later, this absolutely gorgeous young lady comes up to me and starts talking to me, right? And I'm going, oh, I must be on my game today because I'm pulling these boxes, right? And we got to talking, and she said to me at one point, "You don't recognize me, do you?" And I said, "No, but I'm very happy to meet you." And then she told me we were in 5th grade together. And I don't remember her name, but she told me her name, and memory came back. And she said that you were the only one in the class that ever stood up for me. It was so bad that people would even spit on her. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was really bad. And she told me, she said that I always held that with me. Whenever I was in doubt, whenever my self-esteem felt low, I used to think about the guy that used to stand up for me in 5th grade. And I was so blown away by that, I forgot to ask her for phone number and all the contact information.
Yeah, that can happen.
But to this day, I remember that because it made me feel so good that something like that was done years earlier had such an impact on people. And it's one of those things, like Divine said, that you play a role in life. And if your role in life is to defend and support and those kind of things, it constantly repeats itself and it comes back tenfold.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Calvin, that is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. That is such a great story. So we're now going to move on to the next pillar of resilience. I could chat with everybody all night about this subject of actions have consequences. These are such great stories, but looking at the time, I think we need to mosey along a little bit. So I'm now going to talk about the third pillar of resilience that I learned from Divine, resourcefulness. And identify for me, please, or put up your hand in the React column. Identify 3 ways in which you are resourceful. And I'm going to share mine with you while you're all cracking your heads with the workbook that I've given you. One way in which I'm very resourceful is that growing up in England back in the day, we were always very careful about everything, and we recycled everything, and we reused stuff, and we turned it into something else, and all of this kind of stuff. And when I was a young kid, I honestly believed that there was no such thing as wrapping paper, gift wrapping paper, that you could purchase in a store. I thought it all came from the cupboard where my mother kept, all of the recycled wrapping paper that we then reuse to wrap the presents that we then gave to other people. So it wasn't for a long time until I went into a stationery store that had gift wrapping for sale. And I was like, you can buy this stuff. I was just blown away. And then, of course, I became a gift wrapping junkie with wanting to buy beautiful gift wrap all the time. But I have got a pretty good way of being able to make good with what I have, rework what I have, and rework many things in my life that way. And I think growing up in England back in the day, in those post-war decades, we didn't really have a lot of material stuff. We had a lot of great other things, but we didn't have flowing material stuff. So I would say that's where I can be the most resourceful. I can sort of make things out of almost nothing. So I wonder if anybody would like to share with me how they feel resourceful. Does anybody have good resourceful stuff here? My books, yeah, of course. Fantastic resource, absolutely vital. Totally right. Does anybody else have anything about their resourcefulness that they'd like to share? And here we have, I'm very motivated and result driven. I learn from a young age to use whatever you have in such a way to make it look and feel like it's a 100 time. Turning my learning into job opportunities. Wow, I love that. Nancy, recipes out of what is the fridge. Yeah, I hear you. I got that one too. I'm not too bad with that one myself. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. So maybe we could check back in with Divine, because I just want to ask you, Divine, how on earth did you get to write all those screenplays and have all those books published on Amazon when you were in lockdown? I mean, how does that even work, Mr. Resourceful? Divine, you need to unmute. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I was muted. Yeah. Yeah, well,
could you start again, sir?
Excuse me. I was just rattling on. I didn't realize it was muted.
No, that's fine.
Well, actually, my greatest motivator was, in fact, my wrongful conviction. Once it became profoundly clear that I wasn't going to get out, that, the justice system was going to fail me like it has failed so many others. It brought an energy, it brought a motivation, it brought this energy where I said, no matter what happened, I'm going to fight this until the day I die. And it just gave me that energy. So in prison, we have really nothing, and I took pen and paper. I had paper. I could get the paper. I could get a pen, and I just started writing. And I had a good imagination. And my writing skills had already been developed from doing all the legal litigation and writing motions and briefs and all this. And then I started RTA. I became a founding member of RTA. We started RTA, and they introduced me to playwriting, creativity. And I just took it to a whole new level. I started getting books on how to write novels, how to write screenplays, how to write this, and all the stuff I learned from RTA. And I wrote one novel, and I shocked myself because everybody that read it was shocked. And I said, wow, this dude looks kind of good here. And next thing you know, I wrote another, and then I started trying to get published. And that was a journey. Trying to get published was one of the hardest tasks of my life. And then finally, I had a breakthrough. I got a short story published, then a novel, and so forth. But in other words, with resources in a nutshell, take what little bit you have and put as much energy and motivation, love, and passion behind it. And those are free elements. Giving love is kind of like, it doesn't cost you to just be passionate. It doesn't cost you to, be, empathetic with people, to try to give people a helping hand. And once again, their energy and your energy in combination has a way of creating a bigger energy, and it just grows. And, what I threw out is kind of like what I started getting back once again.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And I think the point Divine is making here too is that when we're thinking about resources, we tend to think about the material always, and there are so many other resources that we have, and we are our greatest resource.
That's right.
I mean, we can be kind, we can be empathetic, we can share, we can help people. There is so much that we can do. And I think we often sort of limit ourselves when it comes to resources. And we really, really shouldn't, because we are very powerful human beings when we're working out there for the greater good. So
right.
Thank you for that, Divine. Looking at the time, I'm just going to mosey on to the fourth pillar of resilience that I learned from Divine, which is purpose and identifying things that give our life purpose. And we would like, please, for you to write them in the chat at the moment due to some technical issues that are happening here. And we're being very resourceful at our end. So let's have some things that give our life purpose. And while you are doing that for me, I'm going to share mine with you. And they are as follows. I have a belief in a power greater than me, which gives my life purpose. I love to be of service, and that gives my life purpose, and contributing to the greater good. So meanwhile, we've got some wonderful things coming in here. From Nancy, we have kindness. Yes, I hear you. I think that kindness is one of the most powerful forces on our planet, and so important. Oh, we've got being a dad. Yeah, that is wonderful. To all mums and dads out there, that is wonderful. Being a dad, being a champion of musicians. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, Adam, that is so fantastic. And making your own music. I know how much love and connection and spreading of the light you do through your music. So I know. Merging social, okay, spreading love and light through the arts again. Yes, Mary, absolutely. As the quintessential artist Absolutely. Calvin, spirituality, family, and being counted on. Yes, Calvin, I count on you every single day, my man. And from Laura, helping people to heal through feeling fully the joy, the pain, and all of it. That is actually wonderful advice for all of us. It really is. These are fantastic. I feel like this group could take on almost anything tonight. It's just absolutely brilliant. So I'd like to check in with you now, Divine, again on purpose, and take you back to that moment when you were a young man and you were in that courtroom and the judge gave you that monster of a sentence. How on earth did you feel any sense of purpose at that point? Or did you?
I mean, at that point, I mean, my whole world was shattered. I was so devastated. I mean, it took quite a while to kind of bounce back and kind of get my bearings and get focused. But once I kind of, got past the initial shock, because I mean, I thought I was going home. I mean, there was no way I could be found guilty. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. And once I got my bearing, I just vowed. I said that, number one, I'm going to fight this. Number two, I'm not going to let this experience transform my heart, because I always knew I had a good heart. I was always a kind person. I was a natural born helper. And I vowed I was not going to let this experience change that. And most important of all, I kind of went on a mission. And this is what my meaning and my purpose was. I said that I have to be here for a purpose. It's got to be a reason. Maybe there's a higher force putting me here for something. There must be something greater for me to have to do in life. And maybe this is my catalyst that's going to take me to where I need to be. So I started looking at it from that higher force. And anytime I had an opportunity to help individuals, and I've always been a kind of like a motivated fighter. I was always in the NAACP, law libraries, grievances. I was always about trying to make life better for myself and others. And I wasn't afraid to write grievances and file lawsuits. And I believe that I was there for a reason. I believe that my purpose there was to do what I've been doing. I've been a natural born helper. So I think I was there to take it to a higher level. And lo and behold, a founding member of Rehabilitation Through the Arts, which in my opinion was one of the most groundbreaking, life-saving, humanity building, community building programs I've ever been involved in. I was the president of NAACP. And I mean, I can go on and on and on and on about all of the proactive elements I was involved in. And that was my purpose and my meaning. I was there for a reason. And that reason was to make other people's lives, better in some way.
Can you just let everybody know what the recidivism rates are for RTA members within the prison system in New York? And it'll give everybody a sense of how important the arts are in giving us purpose.
Well, anyone who experience RTA and completes our program and get involved, we have a 3% recidivism level in comparison to 60% of the national population, or anyone who doesn't go through a program such as RTA. It is 60%. 60% of the people, they go home and they come right back within like 6 months or within 5 months, within a month. With RTA, 3%. And this program truly works because it's not just about building community and life skills and brotherhood and all of those intricate life skills that you need to be successful in life, but we take a proactive role to live this out once we get out. We keep in touch, we collaborate with each other. And that was built into the program. As I said, as one of the architects of the program, I've always known that there has to be more than just what we're doing here. It has to be a futuristic, ongoing, what are you doing here? And we commit to that. And, we really put people's feet to the fire and make them, we challenge them. And it's been working. It's been really working.
It certainly has. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And actually, while we're just thinking about RTA for a second, also, I think I would just like to, really congratulate you on getting that Oscar nomination for the
Yeah, thank
screenplay,
you.
for Sing Sing. That is an unbelievable achievement. And I always think of you as, you know, the brother I met inside, and then you're on the red carpet with Ralph Fiennes and Jane Fonda. It's like,
Yeah, I love
wow.
Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda is really, really, really cool. It was like I was trying to talk to her, and she saw I was trying to get a picture and talk to her, and she was busy. And she felt like she had brushed me off. She went out of her way, found me, and said, "Hey, there you go." And I was like, shocked. Man, these some beautiful people, man. Really, really.
Yeah.
She's really magnificent. I really, really, really loved her.
Yeah, she really is. She does nothing but good work for our world.
Yeah.
Bless her. Absolutely. So we're getting towards the end of our time, and I can barely believe it. So I'm wondering if anybody has any questions they would like to ask. I'm going to ask you to put them in the chat right now for technical reasons, I think. But does anybody have anything that they would like to ask, or a comment or two that they would like to make about resilience, about the 4 pillars of resilience, about Divine's amazing story, or anything to contribute from your own life? Actually, you can go down below to react, and you can put your hand up, the little emoji, the hand up, and then we can get you on the screen.
Well, right now, what I'm mostly involved in, I see we do have a question. Right now, well, first of all, my occupation, I'm a train operator. I mean, obviously, I got a 9 to 5. I work the C and the J train. But whenever I get an opportunity to talk to young folks or do anything that involves some type of community activism or work, I'm always there. One of the reasons why I'm here doing this podcast, because I know that this is having an impact on people's lives. So I've dedicated myself that I'm going to take this Oscar nomination, and I'm still writing. I'm working on a few other plays and shopping around screenplays and all that. And I'm going to make sure that experience that I went through, that wrongful conviction, is going to continue having a rippling effect on my life and other lives in a positive way. That's what I believe that experience was there for, and I'm going to keep it alive, keep doing that. And by the way, I also want to say that I'm still fighting my wrongful conviction. And I have a petition that's right now on the website. It's at www.freedivang.org. My lawyers and I, we started a petition, and we're sharing the evidence online, and then we're asking individuals to sign the petition, because the more people we get involved in this petition, the more we believe it can have an impact when I go back to court. And I should be going back to court very soon. So once again, it's www.freedivang.org, and we're just asking individuals to sign the petition. I'll put it in the chat as well.
I believe that we have some other questions here. One of them that I've just glimpsed is, could you tell us, Divine, what role you played in the bullpen, Dennis Watlington's bullpen in Woodbourne?
Oh yeah, I played. Well, I forgot the character's name, but he was a real. He was a person that was definitely not supposed to be there. He was a super tired individual. He lived in Connecticut, and he just got caught up in a situation, and he was definitely in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he was a very interesting character, and I really enjoyed playing that character. And I really would love to actually do that play again at some point in my journey. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tremendous fun. And also there was lots of humor in it, which I think enables us to take a deep dive into difficult situations. When you sort of wrap them in comedic gauze, you kind of see the absurdity of certain things. And when Divine played the character of the banker who'd ended up accidentally in the bullpen, it was just marvelous how he played it, and it was so much fun. And I think that one thing that's really come out of tonight for me is that the arts and connection are just so important in this world, and the sharing of resources. And I just feel like super inspired. And I realize that I have all of 4 minutes left. So we are going to have now a really fun and quick quiz. Okay. And the question is, a growth mindset is crucial to resilience because it, and now you're going to have some choices here. Encourages perfectionism, views challenges as opportunities for learning. 3, discourages risk-taking. 4, focuses on unchangeable traits. So pick a number. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I would go with 2. 2 for me, for sure.
Okay. Anybody else have a number? So views challenges as opportunities for learning. Yes, fantastic. That is the answer. And I feel like we've explored that a lot tonight, actually.
Absolutely.
So to wrap it up, I would like to thank everybody for being here this evening for Resilience Strategies for Strength with Divine G. I feel as if I've been sort of really blanketed in inspiration and connection. And I would now like to check in with the Executive Director of Wisdom House, Deborah Kelly. Hi, Deborah. Can you unmute?
My apologies.
That's
I'm
okay.
working off my
Hey,
cell
Deborah.
phone. I couldn't get my laptop working, so I'm on the cell phone, and I wasn't even able to contribute in the chat. So my apologies for that tonight.
Well, thank you for being
everyone.
here.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Divine. What an amazing, inspiring, encouraging, just life story that you have. And I'm so intrigued. I want to learn more. I want to just continue to grow as you have grown in your adversity. And so thank you for sharing all of that with us tonight. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And be watching our newsletter if you haven't signed up for it. We'll be having Caroline in person at Wisdom House, and we'll be continuing this collaboration with Caroline. So we hope to see you again.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you. And thank you for making all of this possible. Wisdom House is a wonderful place. And go to wisdomhouse.org if you would like to know more information.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. So to wrap up, go to carolinephipps.com. You will be able to see podcasts, articles, DJ Rick and I at WKZE on the radio. There's a whole archive there. Also, you can, if you go to Caroline Phipps /members-free, you can sign up for a free subscription and you will get a recording of the previous resilience workshop, as well as all the materials. So I would maybe encourage you to do that. I am going to be at Wisdom House in person on October the 28th for another session of keeping our sanity. And you've all helped me keep my sanity tonight, despite any technical issues that we might have to deal with. And you know how to get a hold of Divine G. And I just thank you all for being so resilient, so resourceful. And it just feels great. And Thank you for being here. And a particularly big thank you to Divine, because he has been a really powerful inspiration for me ever since I first met him. And it's such a privilege and an honor to have him be a friend and an inspiration. Divine, do you just want to say goodbye to everyone?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for attending this spectacular podcast, and thank you for coming. And enjoy your journey, and just remember that what you throw out to the universe is what you get back. You throw that love, it comes back tenfold. And I think I'm a living example of that.
Yes, you are, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.